Always standing up for the fundamental rights and freedoms of Canadians as laid out in the Charter and as lived every day by Canadians right across the country. But let's be very clear. The threat continues. We do see, whether it's social media activity or people who continue to be focused on protesting and perhaps illegal protesting, that we need to be monitoring. But the acute emergency that gave rise to the invocation of the Emergencies Act 10 days ago, that there were occupations so solidly implanted that the police didn't have the kind of resources or tools available to dislodge them, that emergency is now over. But allow me to be very clear. People are allowed to express their disagreements. People will always have the right to free expression, always have the right to freedom of assembly in this country. What you don't have the right to do is to blockade your fellow citizens, to cause pain and disruption in the daily lives of thousands upon thousands of Canadians, to put jobs at risk across southwestern Ontario and indeed the whole country. That's not a right people have, and that is something that we're going to continue to be very strong and vigilant against. I think there are also reflections we have to have on misinformation and disinformation, and looking at how the role of foreign money and foreign influence in attempts to undermine or even destabilize our democracy are things that we will all need to lean in on as a country. But I certainly hope we're able to do that in a way that is thoughtful and inclusive and respectful of the range of voices and opinions that are out there. Small fringe minorities, always standing up for the fundamental rights and freedoms of Canadians as laid out in the Charter and as lived every day by Canadians right across the country.
So what precedent do you feel you've set? Have you set such a low bar that this will be much easier for many governments in the future to use?
I think people have seen from both the measured way the police responded, the extremely limited and proportional tools that were put forward, the full compliance with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the safeguards in place, and indeed the processes for accountability afterwards, whether it's the Committee of Parliamentarians or the inquiry or the court cases that are already underway challenging the use of the Emergencies Act. I don't think anyone feels that there was a low bar or that this won't be fully scrutinized and reflected on. Indeed, we were very conscious that this Emergencies Act had never been invoked before. And we were very aware that there would be significant scrutiny on our use of it. And that's why we were so focused on making sure that it was proportional, that it was reasonable, and, as we demonstrate today, extremely time limited. When the Act is invoked, it's in place for 30 days. After the vote on Monday, it could have been in place for another 3 weeks. But we committed and knew that verifying every single day if it was still needed was going to be key to demonstrating the limited and measured use of this tool. But we know that there will continue to be threats to Canada, to our democracy, to democracies around the world. And we cannot shy away from using tools that are necessary to maintain the safety and security of citizens. And that's exactly what we did in a responsible and proportionate way.
Canada, this is the land of the patriot. They want to strip our freedoms away. There is no way that we taking it. Whoa. They want division, but we stand together united. Whoa. It's all right, so you know it's the reason we fighting. Hey, we the and shame.